Hi, I'm Zach Dobson. I'm a professional documentary and commercial photographer. I am doing these lives as a general photography chat to answer questions. My background is in photojournalism, but I've also been working in advertising for, um, I don't know, 15, 17 years now. So I'm just here to answer questions. I'm going to talk a little bit about the course that I have that is just coming out. It's called Find Your Focus, Developing a Photography Practice. And it's about doing prompts and exercises to get used to picking up your camera and just taking pictures every day and developing a regular practice. So I'm going to touch on that. I'll share some of the work that I've done. And I like to show it in print form on here and kind of talk about, my general process. I have some books around. I'm always happy to talk about other photographers and answer questions. And so I just wanted to give this kind of as an intro because I'm going to put this live up. Um, so I'm also going to go on TikTok. So I'm trying like a dual live thing. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I'm happy to answer any questions. And so one thing that I wanted to talk about today has to do with photography communities. Have you ever been a part of a photography community? What has your experience been? Have you been a part of like message boards or I don't know, old school kind of chat rooms or Reddit? Do people use that much for photography? I don't, so I don't know a lot about that. But I feel like I talk to a lot of people who have had negative experiences in photography communities, online or in person. So that's something that I wanted to talk about for a few minutes to say, like, there can be a lot of negative experiences around photography communities, both online and in person. And I think that it's really disappointing. It makes me feel sad that people are having a negative experience. I mean, most often the people who face problems in these online communities are women, and we need lots of voices of women and all all people in photography. And when people go in and they're kind of bullied or condescended to by men, then they kind of might start to see their interest wane a little bit, and that's really disappointing, and I hate to see that. And so what one of the things I want to do is develop these, positive, affirming photography communities that are not judgmental. They're not based on critique. They're based on just an enjoyment of photography, a love of photography, connecting over photography. And one of the ways that I'm doing that is I've made this new course, and the course has uh, an online community component through Discord. And so that's a place where I want to be able to, talk with people, share images together, because when the course goes live on January 1st, anyone who's a part of the pre-sale will have access to the members only community. And I will be doing the course starting on January 1st with all the people who've done the pre-sale. So and that's just a space where I want to be able to uh, have positive experiences with photography. I don't think critique from any random people online really does anybody any good. I think that it can have its place, but it's really like kind of like a mentor mentee situation. You're not going to get important feedback from some Joe Schmo on a chat board. Uh, People who really I feel like have a lot to offer other photographers probably are not just going on chats and sharing random thoughts. Anyways, but so with the course is this community component. And I just want it to be a really positive space where people can share their work and they're not gonna, get told how they could have done something better or how they should have approached something or what they could do next time. I mean, people can ask for feedback in certain respects if they want, of course, but I just don't like the general kind of things that people have run into on that type of thing. So anyway, so I'm doing a Q&A here today. I'm happy to talk about anything photography related. Lately I've been using these zines that I print is kind of like a jumping off point to talk photography. So what I started doing this year was printing my work quarterly. And generally, I'm printing newer work that I've taken recently. But in some cases, there's some pictures that I've had that I'd always wanted to see in print. And I thought, well, why the hell not just print them? Print old stuff, print new stuff, whatever kind of stuff that I'm into or feeling, really feeling at the moment. So, I mean, I like any kind of photo. The question is, do you like vintage, like analog pics? Anything. So this is one of the things when I talk about inclusivity, it means everything. I want all people, everybody to feel welcome. I want different types of thanks for the likes. I appreciate that. Every type of photography is valid photography. And so I love, everything. I shoot all digital. I haven't shot film since 2004. But I love film. Film is great. I love old photos. I love new photos. My personal photography that I do is more in the documentary vein, kind of street photography, all of that sort of thing. And that's what I love to take. But while I don't take fashion photography, I appreciate some fashion photography by the greats like, Avedon, of course, and people like that. So, dream camera. Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I think as a documentary and street photographer, like people would think I would go straight to a Leica, but I have to say I really love autofocus. I just love autofocus. I don't care who knows it. I love it. I do. I use it all the time. It helps me get my images to be more in focus. I mean, focus isn't like there are plenty of all-time great photos that are not quite in focus. I mean, you look at that migrant mother photo, it's back focus. The main point of focus is like right around her ear there. So it's like it doesn't have to be in focus to really hit home. But I just love autofocus. So I don't know. I'd like to try some more cameras. I'm really interested in trying the Fujifilm, the GFX series, their medium format series. I'd like to try some digital medium format stuff and see how I like that. But I don't really have like one particular camera. I feel like it's a lot of times film cameras that have certain film photographers that have certain cameras. That's like a dream camera, whether it's like a Leica M3 or M6 or like a those is it Mamiya? I always feel like I'm saying it wrong. The 6x7 or the Fuji 6x9 or that kind of stuff. I don't have one particular camera though. I'd like to try them all. I'd like to try some film stuff. I'd like to try all those cameras and just see how they affect, getting different photos and stuff. Where do I get books printed? So I've printed almost everything that I do through blurb.com. If you go into my links, I've got a Blurb. There's like a special offer, and then it goes through like my affiliate stuff. So you get a discount, and then I get a portion of the sales. But I only do that with Blurb because I've used them for so long. The print quality is excellent. I've done these zines. These are their magazines. They have like an economy and a premium. These are the premium magazines. I've done these hardcover books. This is an 8x10 book. This is a 13x11 book. I love this size book. I mean, the pictures really look incredible in there. Let me find a good. I mean, the color and everything is great. They're huge. I mean, I'm not going to lie. These 11x13 books are expensive, but I mean, the quality is awesome. If I were, one of the things I recommend to people sometimes is doing like, I think it'd be really cool to do like an annual, like a year in review where you take your best pictures from the year and print them in a book. I mean, because a book this size, if you're getting like 40 plus pages, it's probably gonna be somewhere around like $100. Whereas like if you want to print a book like that to sell it, I mean, you have to order a really high quantity to get any kind of reasonable price to be able to resell it at. But if you were printing your own work, once a year spending like $100 or so to have like a really nice bound copy. And I mean, these hold up. I've had this book for maybe 8 years now, 7 or 8 years. It's in great shape. I take it to meetings. I show people my work. If you're an aspiring pro, I highly recommend getting stuff printed and taking it to meetings, because people love that, especially if you're meeting with ad agencies and stuff. They love to see stuff in print. It's so much better than just having the projected slideshow all the time. I pass these around and people love to look at them. And it doesn't matter that, because this is a comedy festival that I did. It's a documentary style. It's an event, but I take the same approach for all of the commercial work that I do as well. So people know that they're getting this. It's about the style. I can show off my style. I can show it in print, and people can see it. And it's been a great experience. I've booked some good gigs because the people really connected with the materials. Tips for selling prints. Just did my first craft show selling prints and enjoyed getting my work out. Yeah, that's a lot of fun, getting your work in front of people in any way that you can. Would you say selling prints enjoyed? So you enjoyed the process of having your prints out there for people to see. Do you feel like was it a good experience as far as like, were you able to get some sales at the show? I'm curious about that because I've never done anything like that myself. I am not a good person to really talk about selling prints because I I don't really have a great history of selling prints. I've tried, making them smaller sizes, not in limited quantity to make them more affordable. I've tried making larger prints that are limited to 20 or 50 or something like that, and printing them on like higher end paper and oh wow, sold over 600 at the show. That's awesome. Wow, yeah, I mean that sounds very successful. That's great. I have a friend who's an artist. He's a like a illustrator and does stuff like that, and he does a lot of book shows. He told me, thank you for the likes. He told me he does a lot of book shows. Well, this is before the pandemic, but he said he'd take his work out to like art book shows in different cities. Like we're in the Indianapolis area, so he was talking about going up to Chicago and stuff and selling his things out there, and he having different tiers, having free takeaways, having like a $10 price point, a $20 price point, a $50 price point, like something higher. But he would get a lot of commissions from this because a lot of art directors and creative directors would go to these types of shows and collect things. So by having a freebie, people can take like a free postcard. Then they can be like, oh, I like this photographer, I like this illustrator. I'm gonna like take their card and I'll stick it in my like up on my board at my office or whatever. But I have not large astrophotography prints in a space oriented town. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, that's great. I personally I haven't had much luck with prints, but I haven't done what you did, like you said, trying to get out there actually physically in front of people. I mean, that's a good way to do it. I'm going to give a quick reintroduction. My name is Zach Dobson. I'm a professional documentary and commercial photographer. I do mostly commercial work, some editorial work. My background is in photojournalism. So that is what I do. I'm on here just kind of answering some general photography questions. I'm happy to talk about, working as a photographer. Like, how do you get work as a photographer? How do you improve your photography? If you've seen any of my videos or profiles that I've done on other photographers, I like to share about some of my favorite photographers or people that I've discovered recently. And by I discovered, I don't mean like I found them and brought them to the world. There's lots of photographers that I don't know. And so a lot of times, like, I'm learning about people and then I present them in a video. So like I'm learning about it at the same time as you all are. And I'm really excited about that. Hey, Scott, how you doing? Good to see you. How's the shooting going? Been out taking a lot of photos recently? So one thing I want to touch on while I'm on the live is I am doing a course. It's my first course. I'm glad to hear you're good. That's good. It can be tough sometimes. names for photographers. But I just launched my first course. It's in pre-sale right now. And the idea is developing a daily practice. It's called Find Your Focus. And it's about, just picking up your camera, developing the habit, because the excuse me, the best way to get better is to take pictures as often as you can. And I talk about building like a daily practice, but obviously, I know it's not feasible to literally like, pick up your camera. I've got mine behind me here. To get your camera and go out and spend dedicated time on photography. I know that's not reasonable for most people. I'm a professional and I don't even have that much time to do that myself. But just doing like the smallest things every day, like using your phone, taking some pictures on your phone, you notice some nice light, you notice something interesting happening between your walk from your car into your office, and just you know showing us. Well, you don't even have to show us. If you want to show and share your life and the things that you're seeing and your individual perspective, that's what this is about. It's also about taking creating your own record of your own life that you can just have for yourself. It can be part of your family. It can be passed on down generations, and just kind of like having this regular practice of taking pictures. So the course is a 15-day course. It's daily emails. You can do them literally every day, or you can, bank them for the weekend. You could do whatever you want because they're in your inbox. You can do whatever you want. And it's about having prompts and exercises and motivation, inspiration to just start seeing things again. And the way that I'm doing it is it's centered around whatever level you're at, which is one thing that I wanted to really do, because everybody, whether you're brand new to photography and you're thinking you want to start picking it up, you need to start taking photos on a regular basis. Or I've talked to a lot of professionals on here who are feeling like, I do my client work and then I'm not feeling motivated to go out and create my own thing. And so this is designed because it's not about what your technical ability is. It's about developing practices. Thanks. I was going to say, I'm hoping it's going to be fun. I know it's going to be fun. I've been writing out all the prompts and getting everything ready. And like, I'm very excited to get other people in and doing this with me, because I'm going to do the course with everyone who signs up now during the pre-sale time until the end of the year. Then I'm doing the course with everybody starting on January 1st. So I'm going to be doing all the prompts. There's a members community that's going to be on Discord. And so we can share photos. We can talk about the prompts. We can do all that stuff. I'm going to go back and look through some of this stuff. Hey, Tanner, good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Wow, that's great. Yeah. 80 keepers out of 1,800. That's good. That's great. That sounds like I did a video recently about my rates. I think I get like 1 to 2 keepers per roll of film. Now, I don't shoot film anymore, but in college, we used to always have this standard where you'd be like, oh, I get, 1 good photo or 2 good photos per roll of film. So out of 36. So those are pretty good numbers there. I'm glad. This is one of my favorite things that's really been unexpected about doing TikTok. And I saw a couple other questions. I'm going to scroll back up and answer your questions about like the lens and stuff in just a moment. I got on just to generally talk about photography. And then I started doing some profiles and talking to people about photography in a way that's like engages what I love about photography, which is the emotion, the action, the feeling of it. Personally, my personal interest isn't based around anything really like technical. It's not about like the image quality per se. I love a beautiful image. I love, like an Ansel Adams landscape. But my very favorite things are things that just are like moving and live and in the mix, and that just do a lot of that. And so, I wanted to share some of that. And in the process, unexpectedly, so many people have told me that, like what you're saying, that you felt inspired to like take more pictures at something you were at. I've had a couple people tell me that they really started photography because, something I shared really connected with them, a certain photographer they learned about, a certain style or something. And that's been like it's been amazing and it's been a lot of fun. And that's one of the reasons why I'm launching this course, is because of that. Having Thanks for the Likes is to continue to bring that, to bring more, to offer more, to bring you more inspiration, motivation, ways that you can start, bringing photography into your life in a regular way. And did a post the other day about how there's a bicycle shot from Bloomington, Indiana, where there's a building that says coffee and the bike running through. So if you see that in my profile grid somewhere, you can check it out. But I talk about the way that I kind of built the composition through different techniques. And it's a candid moment, but I'm still thinking about how do I want to arrange this, in the moment. And it's often not like an active thinking. It's kind of in my subconscious. It's more passive. It's more like, okay, I see an image, but this isn't engaging enough. And I know if I do, if I move over here, I can see more in the frame, or if I wait for somebody to come in, or if I frame it up this way, I can add more visual interest. And by doing a daily practice, you can get that sort of thing like in your brain to where you're not thinking about it anymore, but you are going to think about it at first. And so having a lot of these practices and techniques and things like that, you can just kind of build upon it until they become second nature and you don't have to think about it so much. Alistair. Yeah. Favorite street lens is, I would say, this lens. Oh, that's nice, Tanner. I'm glad to hear that. It's going to be so much fun. I'm really excited to do the course with everybody. Depending on, what I'm shooting, if I'm going out doing street photography, I'm using this camera because it's more compact. It's less, conspicuous. And I like a 35. So this is a 23 millimeter lens, but the camera is a crop sensor. So it magnifies it to effectively a 35. I like a 35 because a lot of people say 50 is what your eyes see. It most closely replicates a person's vision. But technically, I've heard that it's really more like 42, which doesn't sound like much, but it is the difference. So I like 35 because then it goes on the wider end. So 42 is halfway between a 50 and a 35. So personally, I like a 35. I like it a little bit wider. I learned recently that Gary Winogrand at one point switched to doing a 28. And I don't know if he was at a 35 or what he was at before that. But the 28's even wider. I'm kind of curious to try that out for some street stuff and see how it goes. But in places that he was shooting, like New York and things that are really crowded, having that wider perspective really, really helps. But I like a 35. And this is an f2. The f1.4 I just thought was too big for me. It started to get into like looking too professional, being heavier. I like this because I can take it, in the restaurants or museums or, libraries, whatever, and nobody pays any attention to it. So speaking of, this is a Fujifilm X-T20. Yeah, Gary, top 10 for sure. I love Gary's work so much, and he was such an interesting guy and a major influence on, so many photographers. Just very cool. Yeah, so this is the Fujifilm X-T20. I bought this 5.5 years ago. They've got the 30 now. I've worked with them to like try some of their gear out, and I've used their like X Pro 3, X-T3, and some other things like that. I've used a couple of the X100 models. Those are nice, but I wanted the interchangeable lens. Let's see what other questions I have here. I'm doing like a dual live on YouTube and TikTok. So I'm looking at questions from both. I'm happy to answer any questions. And hi from Alaska. That's great. That's fun. I've never been to Alaska. That's definitely up on my list of places to go here. Excuse me. I have a bit of a congestion. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to be. Okay, you asked about photographing wine bottles, getting glare and light problems. I saw a video recently and I'm like, why the hell did I see this video? I don't do product photography, but it actually has that question has come up and this type of thing has come up recently is have you tried any polarizing filters? I've I saw a video about a circular polarizer and how it takes glare off of objects. So I would look more into that and see how that goes. Um, I saw another question I was going to answer about. Yeah, Tanner, photographing like dances and stuff. I mean, I take so many frames when I do anything that involves movement for sure. All right, I think I've kind of hit most of the questions I've gotten so far. Oh yeah, Paul, that was you mentioned the Sigma FP the other day, didn't you? I think I brought that up. I brought it up on my in a window, but I didn't look at it that closely. Hey Jake, how's it going? Have you had a favorite lens in the past that now you don't use as much? That's an interesting question. I'd have to go way back. I'd have to go way back to answer that question because I tell people early on when you first start doing photography, like your tastes are going to change in what you want gear wise. So I think I kind of developed these, like I've been using the same basic few lenses for years. I mean 7-8 years. For my Fujifilm I have the 35. Well, it's a 23. It's a 35 equivalent f2, and then my Canon stuff I have a 24 1.4. I love that, especially when on my second camera then I'll put like a 51.4, and then I have the 70 to 200 2.8, and that's my whole kit. In the past I used to have, I guess, like I used to have a 17 to 40. I used that a lot for a while, and then finally I gave that up completely for primes in that range. When I was doing stuff at newspapers I was using like the 16 to 35 f2.8. So there's that one, but I've been using the same ones for quite a long time now. That's a good point. I don't Sometimes I used to use a 50 by itself, but I don't almost ever use a 50 alone anymore. When I am shooting an event and I've got my two Canon cameras, I'll pair it with like usually a 24 and a 50, or the 24 and a 70 to 200. You do your thing, Danger, whatever you want to do. It's all good. I don't even know how this works. I'm still learning about a lot of those types of things. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. What would you recommend for someone starting out with selling photographs? Oh, that's cool. Thanks. I appreciate that so much. I'm working to like be on here more, be more accessible, talking to people. Like I want this to be like a service thing. And like I'm so excited about photography. I want to share it with everybody. I want to get everybody else excited about it too. And so I'm trying to find more ways that, hey, thanks, man. Good to see you. Thanks for coming on for sure. Very kind. I am wanting to do more and more of this kind of stuff. If you've been following me for a while, you maybe have seen that I haven't been making as many like must know photographer profiles lately because they take so much time. I only have a little bit of time until I find a way to be able to kind of like get some more from that. Like for example, I'm building up YouTube a lot, so I can put those, like a 3 to 5 minute version of the Must Know Photographer on YouTube, and then kind of like maybe monetize that kind of stuff. So I can do it. So I can do more. Like I have a lot of stuff I want to make, but I'm limited on time because I got to do my client work and stuff too. starting out with selling photographs. I'm not good at selling prints. I've never had much luck selling prints. I have a shop that I use through the site Big Cartel. That's not that can be anything. You can put books, prints. I put like digital downloads and what else? Yeah, I even do one-on-one coaching that people can purchase through that shop. So Big Cartel. Dark. What is there one? There's one called like Dark Room. Is it called Dark Room? Does anybody know? There's like a fulfillment. It's like a store that you can integrate with your website, and it does all of the fulfillment and everything. I think it's called Dark Room. I've seen a lot of people use that. That's about the only. Hey, though, thanks for the follows. I'm going back up. Miles' favorite underrated photo book. I'm learning a lot about photo books right now. I was like way out of touch as far as photo books go. I didn't know much about the format. I hadn't looked into it too much. So I'm learning a lot about that. I can tell you some that I would love to see that I haven't seen yet. I'd love to see some of the Japanese photographers' photo books like Shomei Tomatsu or Daido Moriyama. I'd love to see some of their photo books. I've heard amazing things about that. I'd like to see Graciela Iturbide. I love her photography, Mexican photographer. She's incredible. I'd love to see her books. I've seen some of her prints in person. Very cool. But I don't know what I would personally say was underrated because I just don't have that much of experience. And the only photo books like I actually own are more like compilations, like Magnum Street Photography book that has, just a lot of different Magnum photographers. And I've checked some of them out through the library to look at, but most of the ones I've checked out so far are like the greatest hits, like Stephen Shore's Uncommon Places and, Robert Frank, The Americans. But those are obviously not underrated. They're rated for sure. Let's see. What else can I see? Yeah, I love Daido. The thing about Daido is so much of his work is point and shoot, and that's where it goes to like the gear doesn't really like. It's not. I mean, if you ever see a YouTube video where they show clips of him working, he's like a ghost. He like floats in and like takes a picture and like it's very like he's like very like flowy. I really dig it. So yeah, Daido point and shoot. He uses digital now. I don't know if he uses it exclusively, but I've seen him on YouTube shooting digital. There's a lot of photographers like Georgy Pinkasov. I saw he's like a Fujifilm photographer now. Incredible color work, amazing photographer. He's a Magnum photographer, Russian born, and his work is amazing. And what I liked that he said in this video was that he likes the technology, he likes the digital because it takes a lot of the technical thinking off of his mind, and so he can concentrate more on the creative aspects because he can rely on the camera to do some of the technical kind of thinking. And I thought that was an interesting perspective. Thanks, Paul. A lot of people will mention certain photographers, and I will look on. I'll bring them up in a window on my computer here, and I'll look at them later. Okay, I'm gonna look at Rich Joseph. Based in Athens, Ohio. He must be connected to Ohio University somehow. Does he teach there or something? Oh, nice. Yeah, very cool stuff. I'll definitely look more into him for sure. Thanks. I appreciate the recommendations. Yeah, thanks, Matt. I'm always happy to talk. I'm trying to get on more lives and answer questions. I'll probably do another live photo walk soon. I'll probably do another live photo walk soon. That's something I've really enjoyed, going out and photographing in a neighborhood or part of town and just kind of talking and showing about, what my approach is for how I look for good photos, for interesting photos. And that's been a lot of fun. So let's see. I had another thing I was going to say about. What am I looking for? I like to bring up windows, and when people mention anything to check out, I will do that. And where is? I'm losing stuff here. All right. Oh, there it is. All right. I'm sharing where my course is on here. So on YouTube, that's one nice thing I'm seeing about live on YouTube is I can drop links and stuff in there. Anyways, so I'm doing more on YouTube as well. So follow me over there. I'll be posting some longer format videos and things like that. These lives are going to go up. So I'm recording on both, and then this will just be up on YouTube. So if you're like, oh, what did he say about that? I remember he answered my question, but I forgot what he said, or someone else mentioned this other photographer. I won't have like the comments in there, but it will have my responses and what I'm saying. So you can always kind of like, revisit if you're looking for some information on here. Yeah, Paul, my jam as well. I totally get it. There's something else I was thinking about that. Oh no, I already said all the stuff about the gear stuff. Thanks for the likes. I appreciate it. Yeah. It's good to see so many familiar faces in here. Michael, good to see you as always. We're eventually going to shoot together at some point, Michael and I. That's another thing that I want to do is the photo walks. I'd love to do like community things where I talked about this like a year ago, and I had it can be very hard to schedule because I got my client work isn't always at like regular times, and sometimes things come up last minute, so it can be hard for me to schedule things too far out. And then also, I'm married and I have 5 kids, and so everything is really a lot going on. But I'd really like to schedule, like, say, I'm going to do a walk in downtown Indianapolis on whatever the first Saturday in March or something like that. Maybe even in the winter. I don't know. To have people come out. And then when I travel, I'd love to do that in different cities and connect with people and things like that. Would be a lot of fun. You mean photo, like making like photograms? You mean you'll have to tell me because there's a lot of stuff I'm not I'm not as familiar with. I did a live, and again, this is up on my YouTube. Oh, 3D scans. Oh, that's cool. I'll have to look into that more. I always like to see what people are up to and what they're doing. Are you posting those on TikTok? I'll head over and I'll check it out. But yeah. What was the other thing? Oh, so I did a live in January of this year. It's the whole thing's up on YouTube. So if you go back and look through that, where I looked at prints at the museum at Indiana University with their photography curator, and it was really a lot of fun. I'm hoping to do more of that in a little bit, but I think that I want to do more of that, like going to the museum and like doing some of that kind of stuff and looking at prints and talking to other experts. There's actually a really great photo center somewhere. There's a really great photography center that's newer in Indianapolis, and they're doing some really cool things. They're called Aurora Photo Center. I don't want to say the wrong thing. I know it's Aurora, but I have to think about Aurora Photo Center. Yeah, auroraphoto.org. And they are doing some really cool stuff. They've done some projects with the Webbs, Alex and Rebecca Norris Webb, and some really cool stuff like that. And I think that their founder and president is an expert in photo books and has a huge collection herself, and has like a small publishing house. She's published some photo books, and I am really looking forward to doing some in-person lives with her. We're going to go in January and check out some books they have at the Indianapolis Library. She mentioned they have a couple really rare books, which I'm interested to see. And she has a pretty extensive collection. We'll probably look at it at some point, but I'm interested in really talking with someone who is an expert in these sorts of things. But yeah, so that's good. But I think that I want to bring it back to, I'm really doing this course. I keep coming back to the course because I want to talk about it, because I'm really excited about it. It's something that I decided to put the course together because of you all, everybody on TikTok that I've been talking to, and people wanting to, feel inspired, feel engaged. Because even if you've been doing photography for, many years, it's easy to kind of like fall out of the habit. It's easy to not feel inspired to go out and create your own work. So doing like this 15-day course to do like, it's about inspiration, motivation, and I'm going to be doing it with everybody starting on January 1st. I'm really excited about it. And I love this quote that my wife wrote on the information page. Unfortunately, inspiration doesn't strike us. We strike it like a match. And that's really a great point. Like, if you want to create, if you want to be an artist, if you want to be a photographer, like, you have to do it even if you don't necessarily feel like it. I don't mean you have to do it like around the clock all the time. I just mean like you can't sit and wait to feel inspired. Like, you've got to start walking through the steps. I feel like, it's kind of like around in the ethers, like the whole muse thing. Like, it's not going to be if you're just sitting in your chair. It's not just going to like strike you. You've got to like show like, I'm serious. Like, I want to do this. I'm going to pick up my camera. I'm going to walk outside. And then like, that's when things can start to happen, is if you take the steps to show like the muse, the universe, whatever's floating around in the ethers, that like, I'm serious. I want to do this. I want to make good stuff. I want to do important work. And that you have to take the steps. So that's why this course is there. It's about, helping take the steps. And now I do have a free 3 prompts that I made. That's kind of like almost like an intro. It's like pre-course or whatever, because I picked like 3 really like low friction exercises that are easy to do. Don't have to leave your house. In fact, one of them is like, you don't even leave the chair you're sitting in. You can do it on your phone. You don't need to like get real camera or anything like that. And so that's why I have that. So that's Jumpstart Your Photography. If you go to my links, Jumpstart Your Photography, the 3 prompts, free download. And then the information page is what's the first in my link in bio. The first thing is Find Your Focus. And it's just an information page about what the course is, what it's providing, all the like, specs and types of things we're going to be doing. And I'm really excited about it. 15 daily lessons straight to email. So you can do it every day. I'm going to do it every day with everybody who is a part of the pre-sale. And you can do it every day with me. If your schedule's really busy and you want to, do them all on the weekend to catch up or whatever, it's all good. It's all in your inbox. You can do it whenever you want. So I like using these zines as like a jumping off point to talk about this type of photography, because I'm printing a lot of, this is all my personal work. I'm not putting like client stuff in here. Funnily enough, there are some things in these books that I took while I was on an assignment for a client, but the pictures weren't specifically for the client. I think like this one is a good example. I love this one. Is just, I was on a rooftop doing an architecture shoot for an apartment complex with their pool and their new building and whatever. And the skyline was in the background. I was set up waiting for the sun to start to come up, and I turned around and I saw this photo, and I took it on my phone. So it's like, it's not even like, oh, well, you had your professional camera there, so you could just get this quick shot. And it's like, no, I turned around, I took this on my phone. It was a iPhone 6 is what I had at the time. And it's like, it's a good photo. And it really turned out pretty well in print too. And so, but that's my point, is like always seeing things, and always, you could just as easily be someone who was up on a rooftop for your job if you're into like a construction trade and you also like photography. You have access to things like this to get good photos at any moment. um but so much now, having developed like a daily practice of photography, of I am just seeing things all the time, and I'm going through the course of daily life taking photos. And oh, hey Aaron, thanks for stopping by. I was off my I was off my TikTok. I was off my YouTube window for a few minutes there, looking up some information. But so much of the pictures that I'm getting now that I really love are just in the course of daily life. It's really like, I'm doing other things and I have my camera with me, and then I see these pictures. Like this was at my kids' like a swim meet at my neighborhood pool. I'm always happy to look at people's photos. Thanks for asking. If you're on Instagram, just follow me there and send me a message. Instagram's the best way to like send messages to me. So send me a message. I like to see what people are up to. And I'll follow you back and I'll take a look at what you're posting on there for sure. Um, this was just like, I loved the kind of like disembodied arms, hands, and phones coming through the fence. And again, this is just doing a thing. So I do want to do, I would love to do like a duet, like live sometime. I can't really do it right this minute because I have a limited amount of time, and I want to be able to touch on like some of this like course stuff. But yeah. And everyday life. Again, I was out on another photo shoot. I just happened to walk past this. It wasn't related to what I was doing. Took the picture. This just parking in a new parking lot, had this fresh, asphalt and lines painted, and just made for a cool reflection. And so much of what I'm doing, because I think we have this. Doppel Warren, hello. I'm doing two broadcasts, and I want to make sure that I talk to everybody. How you doing? I'm happy to answer any questions that people have while I'm talking about this kind of stuff. So, leave a comment, ask a question. I think that we have this tendency to think of photography as like something I go out and do. I go out to take photos. Thanks for the likes. Uh, I you like I have to dedicate specific time. I have to set aside a block of time in my calendar to go take photos, and that just really impedes your ability to take photos if you're thinking about it that way. Um, yeah, thanks, Lily. I'm gonna say. Uh, I think random unplanned photos are always my favorite. Yeah, same. Me too. And to me, it's much more, what the things that are spontaneous are the things that I connect with more. But I think this idea of like I need to go and even people look at photographers like, Gary Winogrand, Joel Meyerowitz, like they went out and they like just prowled the streets for like hours on end, pretty much daily. I mean, Gary Winogrand was shooting like 600 rolls of film every year. It's just so much. I'm going to answer that question about Instagram in a moment. I like that. And so people feel like that's what I have to do. If I want to be this photographer, if I want to be like, Gary Winogrand, I've got to go spend hours and hours and hours out taking photos. And that's just not it. Like most of us don't have that time. Now, what he did for one of his books, The Zoo, but I think it called Animals? I can't remember the name of the book. He did a book of photos from the zoo, which a lot of people don't think is some of his greatest work, but whatever, to each their own. There's some really good photos in there. But he was going to the zoo to spend time with his kids, And then he found this way of like, I can go to the zoo and I can take pictures and they can enjoy the zoo and I can spend time with my kids and I can do pictures. And so I think there's more of that kind of stuff that we can do by just photographing in our daily lives on a regular basis. You can find these great images that are happening. And I think there's an added bonus to that, which is this, because I don't know about you, but a lot of times if I'm by myself, I've worked my way out of this habit, but I used to overthink things. I used to think like, where's the big photo? Where's the good image? Where's the like thing that's going to be like, that everybody's going to love, and what's going to be impactful, and what, and you just like, it gets really easy to overthink. It's really easy to overthink it. And in my experience, when I'm out doing something in my regular life, then I'm not thinking as much about the photo and I can react more. Like I notice something and I take the picture. I'm still looking around. I'm still being observant, but I'm not overthinking things at all. And so I think there's that added benefit. Like I put two pictures in this one issue of, I went with my family. It's downtown Indianapolis, the Indianapolis 500 parade. They have a parade the day before the race every year. And we usually go down and just walking to the parade route and back from the parade route. I've got these two photos. This was on the way there. Stopped at an intersection. I really like this image. I'm going to show it so like both cameras can see. I like the color. I like the quality of the light. I mean, the colors really popped. I like the kind of asymmetrical, composition, and, having the perspective looking down the street and all that stuff. I just really loved this photo. And I was like, I had kids standing on either side of me and behind me, and my wife was there. Like, and we just stopped. I just took this picture. I took maybe like 4 or 5 frames. And when the bus came in, I'm like, okay, this is the one. I really liked the bus. But yeah, it's a nice image. I took it while I was out doing other things with my family. And then on the way back from the parade, we're walking down this kind of interesting, like newer sidewalk. And I see from the other direction, this kid coming, pulling this old school bus. And I'm like, that's a cool photo. I don't take pictures of kids randomly, but I was like, I don't know if I can take this photo or use this photo. And I just took it. I just kind of like aimed my camera and took the photo. And then when I looked at the composition, I'm like, oh, you can't see his face. He's unrecognizable. So that's fine. That's all good. And I like this picture. This foot here, that's my son. I was walking behind my family, taking pictures while I was walking. So it's like doing it in a daily basis. And that's a lot of what the course is about, is like developing the habits and the practices and doing these exercises and just feeling interested in taking a photo. Because the more you take photos, the more you'll take photos. And the exercises, prompts, and things can kind of stick in your head. And it allows you don't have to be so actively thinking about everything the more you practice. I'm going to answer, are you still enjoying Instagram? Not particularly. Honestly, it's kind of a pain. I always thought, I'm a photographer, I should be doing well on Instagram. And I don't know what it was. I don't know. I never made the commitment that I did to TikTok when I said about a year and a half ago, more than a year and a half ago in TikTok, I said, I'm going to post a video every single day of something, just anything. And that helped to really fine tune, what worked, what didn't work, and have some videos that really connected. I never quite did that with Instagram. I never posted every day for more than maybe like 2 weeks at a time. And then I might go like a month and a half or 2 months without posting anything. So, maybe that's why. Also, I feel like sometimes maybe my photos might look too much like ads because of the image quality. I don't know. I don't know what it was. Because I was sharing some of my ad work. I don't know. It just never really connected. I've been trying. Sometimes I post my TikToks of my photography on Instagram. So I don't share profiles of other photographers on Instagram. I only share my own work on Instagram. And some of the like motivational, inspirational kind of stuff. I've been trying to put that on there too. But I don't put like when I talk about other photographers on there. But anyways, I don't know. I sometimes have things hit, and by hit I mean like maybe like 100 people will like a photo or something. Um, my account on Instagram mostly grew because of TikTok. When my TikTok started to get bigger, I was at like 1,000 on Instagram, and now I'm at like a little over 2,400. And a lot of people have come over from TikTok to follow on there. So I don't know. I like seeing other people's work on there. I do, because I'm able to follow a lot of people on here. So if anybody's on here, if you go over to my Instagram and follow, I'll follow you back. I follow anybody back who's posting photography. If I don't follow back private accounts unless someone's like, hey, will you please follow my account? And then I will. But I do. I like to see what other people are up to, for sure. So if anybody follows me over on Instagram, I'll follow you back, and then I can see the photos that you're doing. Paul, I did see your thing about no, I haven't seen that. How to with John Wilson, a TV show. The moments he captures feel like street photos is video. That sounds really cool. I'll have to check that out. That sounds interesting. I found this account. It's not like a small account on YouTube, where I can't remember what it's called. This guy in the late 80s, maybe the early 90s, was shooting video around New York. It was almost like a vlog. He would just talk to the camera. He was into the art scene, and he'd show like what people were doing. So like other artists, he'd go on like little road trips, and he'd take video. I saw one that was just like at a gas station out in the middle of nowhere, and a McDonald's, and it was like this like waves of nostalgia of those McDonald's from like 1989. Anyways, but that kind of video work I think is really interesting, so I'd like to check out that for sure. So talking more about kind of the everyday stuff, this is the latest zine I did. So the zines, I do sell these quarterly. So if this is something you're interested in, all of these ones I have are sold out, because what I do is I put them up for a pre-sale, and then I sell them for, the pre-sale period, and then I close orders, and I don't lay out the zine until I close the orders. It's called the mystery zine. It's just kind of a fun thing. I don't remember exactly how I thought to do it as a mystery. I do know that I had an old promotional magazine with this cover that I had up on the board, and somebody saw it on a live, and they're like, that looks cool. Where can I get that? And so I was like, you know what? I'll make it into a zine. I'll take the cover as it was, and then the inside was like commercial work before. So I'm like, I'll just relay out the interior of the zine with some stuff that either I like that's new, or that I always wanted to see in print. And ended up being a lot of fun. The zines are $25. So I wanted to have something that was like, affordable. I mean, as opposed to, buying $200-300 prints and stuff, but it's a good, quality printing. And they're $25. I also sell an annual subscription for $85. I'm pretty sure. So the annual, so 4 come out. It's quarterly, and it's been a lot of fun. So what I do, so I thought, I'm just not going to tell people what's in it, whatever. And some people seem to like it, and it's been a fun project. And so now I wait until even the order window closes, because I like thinking of it as this, like, I'm going to design it in a way. Oh, Van, I see your question. I'm going to answer that in a second here. I like to do it in a way that's like, I don't know. I think of it as almost like taking the energy of the people who have been like, this sounds interesting, I want to check it out. And so the order window is closed. I have all the orders in. And so I'm kind of like designing the zine, like just for this group, just for you guys, just for me, like what I think other people would like, maybe something I had shared recently and people were really into it. And of course, it's always my work. I'm not printing other people's work, but You watch on TikTok. I'm glad you caught it on YouTube as well. I'm trying to do some of these like dual, like both. I don't know what happens. Um, YouTube, if you don't follow me on YouTube, it's been really interesting because at the beginning of October, I had something like, I've been posting things here and there, and I had something like uh, 300 subscribers. And then I just started flooding with my video that I had done for TikTok on shorts. And I just kept putting them up, sometimes 3, 4, even 5 in a day. And a few of them hit. And now my YouTube is up over 17K. So it's great. It's been a great experience. I'm going to do a lot more posting. Oh, thanks. I'm even better on there. Yeah. I like it because then, especially for longer profiles, like the Must Know Photographer. So I had done a profile about Katrine Leroy, the war photographer, and her work is amazing. And when I made her profile last year, it was TikTok had a 3-minute limit. So I like cut it real short to get it in under the 3-minute limit. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to expand that for YouTube. So I went on to YouTube and like a month or so ago, and I made like a 5.5-minute version of the video that kind of, it's still short, but it covers like all of what she did and not just like the 1960s, which were like pivotal. But anyways, so I like this format. And the other things I like are obviously the widescreen viewing is nice. If you really want to dive into people's photos, seeing it in the widescreen is great. And then the lack of the censorship is a huge thing. I mean, I really struggled with TikTok about a year ago, being like, well, what the fuck can I post on here? They kept taking down, like, they marked the Katrine Leroy post as sensitive content. It was like blowing up. It was going huge. And then they took it off the FYP because they put the sensitive content warning on it. And there was no like blood. I made sure not to show any kind of like, blood or gore. There were soldiers carrying other wounded soldiers, but it was in black and white. And but that doesn't fly on there. So, and one image had a soldier like stunned over a fellow soldier who had just been killed. And that's not allowed on there either, but I can share these things on YouTube. I mean, it's important. It's documentary, it's history. And so I like being able to post things in longer format on here and not have it censored in any way. Oh, you took photos at a gun range and TikTok kicked them off the FYP. Yeah, I did. You were being an observer, not endorsing or being anti. I get that. I did another post that was blowing up. This one was more recent. I was so excited about it because it was my own work and it was some pictures that I really loved that I had taken at an NRA convention. And I thought it was a good post and a lot of people were connecting with it and it was going really well. And TikTok just took the whole thing off. It had like 50,000 views in a few hours and they just took it down because they said it was like promoting the sales of guns or something is what they said at first. And then I said like, they said minor safety was the first thing. Minor safety, because there were kids at the convention with their parents holding firearms that were not loaded in any way. But I did an appeal, and then they said no, both child safety, and they added on that it was promoting the sale of guns. I mean, this is a documentary thing. Anyways, it still bothers me if you couldn't tell. But oh, thanks. Van said they liked the Slim Aarons video. That one was fun. Slim Aarons is another one that I adapted for YouTube from TikTok, and I added some more photos and I kind of added a little more content and information. So I want to spend more time. My goal is to start to be able to monetize on YouTube so that I can spend a little more time producing the videos. I have some ideas for some web series and stuff like that too that I'd love to do. Yeah, and you'd see less of my personal work. Well, on YouTube or just in general? I'm curious because it's tempting to completely change when something starts to take off. Like when people really love the profiles, it's tempting to make your whole account like for whatever consistency's sake. But I'm like, I want to talk about all photography. I don't want to just do profiles. I want to talk about issues around being a professional photographer. I want to advocate for people talking about their copyright. I want to show my work and talk about my work and the stories behind it. I generally try not to make the way that I share my work just like presenting it, like here's a picture, here's a picture, here's a picture. I want to talk about like, here's the story behind it, or here's what I was trying to do, or here's how I got this, or here's a technique or something that I learned, or like, do something around that. So I try to do both things. I saw another question that I wanted to address, but now I'm kind of like trying to. Oh, you asked what my favorite photo in the zine was. Well, it depends on which zine. I'll pick an old favorite photo and a new favorite photo. I mean, one that I took a while ago and one that's in. This is one. Did I do that one? Hold on. There's one. Sometimes I forget if I put certain photos in there or not. I don't think I put that one in here. No, I didn't. Okay. So one of my favorite photos that I've done, this was around like 2017 or 18, I think. I just really like this image a lot. I'd always done it in black and white. I'm going to show it on both cameras. I was in Naples, Florida, walking along this boardwalk, and I turned. It was a very slight rain, and it's just like the people. It felt like Florida, like older people being like preserved in plastic. I don't know. It just really was an interesting photo. I always wanted to see it printed, and I had always done it in black and white. And then when I went to pull the original file to get a high res, I went back to the raw file. And I saw the color and I'm like, oh, this color looks good. I'm going to print it in color for the first time. So that's an older one. One of the newer ones that I really love a lot is this picture. I took it in my local library. They just rebuilt the library. And I love the light and the line. I'll hold it up to each. It's kind of this minimal color palette. It's mostly, the white walls and white table and chairs. And then there's just a little bit of bronze and then the touch of green in the plants. And, that spot of red really like pulled the whole thing together. Thanks. I appreciate that. It was just a great moment. I had my camera. I actually pulled out my phone and I snapped it on my phone first, but then I had my camera with me. So I was glad I did because it did look better shooting it on my Fujifilm than on my iPhone. But yeah, it's just I really like it. And here, this image, I think, is a really good way to show why I think that, oh, Van, thanks. Great shot. Yeah, I love the shadows here for sure. Thanks, Lily. I'll answer that question too. It's something I like to use this as an example of why I think it's good to print your work. Because when you're looking at it on social media, you're seeing something like this big. There's only so much detail you can see in that. And if you get up close, I'll show it on both cameras. There's these because of these blinds here, it's creating these shadows here. There's these really fine lines and you almost can't even see it when I hold the camera up really close. There's these really fine line shadows like right in there. And you can only really see that level of detail in print. And that's why I'm getting on like photo books and stuff so much now too, because seeing Stephen Shore's work in print form, in a photo book form, how it was meant to be, how he wanted it to be, I was always neutral on Shore. But then when I saw it in print, I'm like, oh man, this is beautiful. The images are incredible. The detail, because he's shooting 8x10 negatives and making contact prints. And so all the detail is razor sharp. And in the books, it's like, you're looking at this scene. The image is made, about this big. And, in one of the windows in the houses, there's a boy like this big in the frame. And you can lean in and you can see their face. You can see the detail in their face. The window has it's like a dentist office too or something. And you can read, out of this big of a frame, the text is like this big. You can read it. And it's just so sharp to be able to walk into these scenes. It's like you're there and you can spend time like observing all these different things. You asked about how long I've been doing the zines. I've been doing the zines since the beginning of this year. I launched the idea in February of this year, and the first one went out in March. And yeah, so there, after the first, it was really around the second one where I was like, I should just do this quarterly. So that it didn't quite line up exactly quarterly. Um, but going into next year, I've got the system down. So issue 4 is available now. It's in my links on my shop, and it's $25. It's yeah, limited to however many people buy it in the pre-sale, which runs through the end of this month, and then I'm going to ship it out in like mid-January. So it's a fun way to be able to put my work out. Yeah. That's my wife. Hi. Yeah, approximately quarterly. It does definitely add to the mystery. I would agree with that. The exact timing is a little bit of a mystery. You don't know exactly what day it's going to show up until I send out an email that says, "Hey, these are going out today. You should have them within the next 5 days or so, depending on where you're at." When these show up, is somebody in here? It says invite Mother Boomer. Is Mother Boomer in here? Mother Boomer is one of my favorite accounts on TikTok. If you don't follow her, you definitely should. It's just an incredible storyteller. I'm like, uh, yeah, definitely 4 issues per year. That's true. There will definitely be 4. Oh, thanks. I'm so happy you're here. I love Mother Boomer. Such great stories. Go follow her, listen to her stories. And the visuals are great. I love the visuals. Riding in a car, walking, just kind of like these scenes to like, it's so good. So good. It seems like you're doing well. It seems like your account's growing. I'm trying to do my part to get the word out because I enjoy your stories very much. Excellent storyteller. So that's something that's been surprising and interesting too. Are these all these people coming in? Ed, Dirkish Delights. Good to see everybody. I'm always happy. Yeah, that's my wife. She knows you're a celebrity as well. Yeah, exactly. Cool room. This is where all the cool kids hang out. Um, being a part of the community of creators on TikTok has been very rewarding. And I feel like I know that's something about TikTok that I don't feel like you get on like Instagram or places like that. Is I feel like I know the people because I'm hearing their voice or I'm seeing their faces, and I'm hearing their stories. I'm learning about their lives. I'm learning about their work, and it's been such a fun community to be a part of. And I definitely feel like the people coming up with certain people, and yeah, Isaac, you've ordered from Blurb. Yeah, their stuff is great. I've always been happy with their print quality. It's been excellent. But it's been fun. Like, there's certain people, like a lot of people know Kyle makes short films. He's a cool guy. We were like at the same, we've been like kind of like coming up together. We were both following each other when we had like fewer than 1,000 followers. And so it's been fun seeing everybody grow together. Oh, thanks, Mother Boomer. The video with the kids was great. Creativity without lectures. Without lectures. So I've said class of 2020. Yeah, it really is like 2020 is, yeah, for sure. That's when I started doing stuff, was like more often was like late 2020. Thanks for the likes. Um, Something I'll probably talk about more is, I have 5 kids, and we do photography together, and it's a lot of fun. We have a great time. And what Mother Boomer is talking about is I mentioned in the video, like, if you want to get kids interested in what you're doing, like, don't make it a lecture. Nobody wants to listen to a lecture. Who wants to sit and listen to a lecture? You want to make art, especially when you're a kid. You're like, let me do the thing. Give me the camera. Let me take some pictures. And thanks for the likes. Let me take some pictures. Let them take pictures. Let people make art. Don't give a lecture about color theory to a bunch of elementary school students. Like, Save that for college. Even college, why have a lecture? Just have them read it. Here, read this. You'll be able to make better art if you know color theory. You'll be able to take better photos if you know, general compositional rules, whether you use them or not. But like to have to like give a whole lecture, have them listen to whatever you're saying in order to get started. That kind of stuff just drives me nuts. People are so bad with kids, and they want to turn everything into an educational experience. And it's like, you learn by doing things. Don't you learn more by doing things? I saw a video yesterday where somebody's like a language expert, and they're like, if you want to learn how to speak a language, just watch your favorite TV shows in that language. It's one of the most effective things you can do to learn a language. And so I think the same thing. And like my goal, I don't want to have my kid, I don't want to produce other artists like me. I don't want my kids to, you know, emulate my style of photography or whatever. Hey Buckley, good to see you. Um, I want to see what they come up with. It's kind of like that outsider art concept where it's like people have no training in what they're doing and they create stuff that's really different. So I think the same thing. You don't have training in photography per se, then what kind of stuff are you going to come up with? If you don't, you know, study composition, like I want to see how it develops. And if they want to learn that stuff, and I also said in the video, if they have a question, just answer their question. Don't turn it into a whole like, oh, we have to do this, and then you have to do this, and this is like a common question. And one of my kids asked me one time, how do I make the background blurry? And I was like, oh, that's the aperture. You got to have a low number. So if you set it on here, if you use this setting, set the aperture to 2, and then the shutter speed's on auto. I don't go through like, well, this is how aperture works. And if you do this and this and this, and to set the aperture, then you have to shut the shutter speed. But you can't forget about the ISO. I'm just like, no, set this number to 2. And then I put the other thing on auto. And I say, if you want more to be in focus, you turn this one higher. If you want less to be in focus, you turn it lower. And that's the end of it. If they want to know how it works when they get older, or they get more involved with it, then they will ask the questions. Because I used to try to like give just a little bit more info, and then it'd be like, okay, I can tell right away. Once that question that they had was answered, it was just like, like that's it. They were done. So yeah, that's something that I learned too. So I like talking about that kind of stuff. Yeah, long lecture destroys enthusiasm. That's for sure. I could never stay awake in school. I just couldn't do it. I don't know. I don't know why. I was always falling asleep. It was always during lectures. The only thing I could stay awake through is if I could keep myself busy. If I could, you know, make art. That's why I always loved art and band, because I could play music. I could make art. You know, I didn't have to like sit and listen and fill out, you know, worksheets and shit. So, yeah, that's a big thing. So yeah, this has all been a fun experience on TikTok and meeting with people. And I mean, something that I like to point out too, to answer your question, do I have a darkroom? I have been all digital since 2004. I had, it's funny, like 3 years ago, I didn't even know people were still really doing film on much of a level. And then I said something on Twitter like, oh, when was the last time you shot film? And all these people were like, I did this morning. I'm like, what? Everybody's still using film? And it's coming back like bigger than ever. Not bigger than ever, but bigger than it has been in like 20 years. So I'm kind of curious. I've talked to some potential partners that I might do some stuff where I shoot some film. So we'll see how that goes. But even then, I'll probably have them develop my film, because I was never very good at developing film or making prints. I did it passively. In college, I shot. I only owned film cameras in college, but I also shot digital. The school's digital cameras that they had, you know, in 2002, 3, 4. They weren't very good. But yeah, I'd be interested to try some of that stuff for sure. I think that what was the other thing I was going to say? losing my train of thought. But it's been so something that was really unexpected was people learning stuff from me. I mean, I expected to be able to kind of give some people about like tips and tricks on how to use a camera, but I didn't really expect people to be like, I'm feeling like inspired to go take pictures or start taking pictures, or I used to take pictures and now I got my camera out, or I saw this profile you did on this photographer and that really connected with me. And I didn't expect that. And I thought, I never had thought about taking some kind of role as a type of educator, especially since I don't want to do lectures like I was saying. Um, I was like, I don't want to lecture people, but I think presenting information people consume in their own time, in their own way. I like keeping it short. So, you can get a brief introduction to a lot of different things, and then you can go deeper on a photographer, on a topic, on a subject, or whatever strikes a chord with you. And well, that's cool. Lily on YouTube is saying you definitely have inspired me to go do something on lazy days. I just think like it's just fun. I just enjoy it. I think that having this message of like low pressure, keep it fun. Like, hey, why so many people take too many things way too seriously. There's enough serious things in the world. Like art should be fun, photography should be fun. And there, I love photojournalism. That's where I came from, and that is always something I think is really important in our world. But there are plenty of photojournalists. Leave the photojournalism to the photojournalists. Leave the heavy stuff to the people who really want to do that. Like, you can have fun with it. You can enjoy it. It's a fun thing to do. And so, I feel like just recently I've kind of embraced this. Because whenever people would say they'd learn something or whatever, I was kind of like, that's nice, that's nice. But like, I didn't want to like kind of take on this like educator kind of role. But I feel like lately I've been feeling inspired to accept more of that. Um, yeah, Edward, thanks for streaming. It's very oh, good, good, yeah. It is a good thing. You edit some photos or something and listen to like a photography chat. And I like this too because you don't necessarily have to like sit and look. But oh my God, I want to go. I love LA so much. I love LA. I don't know what it is about it. Maybe as a kid growing up in the 80s and all the movies that were based in like California and LA, like uh, it's I just love it. I really do. I had the good fortune to get to know a person who founded a comedy festival there 10 years ago. Oh my God, it's been 10 years. That really snuck up on me. But they did this festival for 5 years. I documented the festival 4 out of the 5 years. It was in downtown LA, and that was like one of my favorite things to shoot every year. Um, it was such a great experience. I love the vibe, the quality of the light there. It's just so fun. It's like you can go out in the time of day when there's not supposed to be good light. Maybe it's the pollution. I don't know, but it's like God, the light is so good. It's like 2 p.m. How is the light good? What the hell is happening? Uh, it's cool. I just dig it. And yeah, downtown LA. I'm interesting interesting vibe. And I didn't know much about downtown LA. I didn't know before I went there. I didn't know the reputation. I didn't know what it would be like. I didn't know what to expect at all. And the first year I did the comedy festival, uh, if people don't know, I mean, there's a very large unhoused population in downtown LA. I think now with the internet and stuff, I mean, now with social media, we see a lot more of that stuff. It's probably not a surprise, but um, I remember a comedian saying like, "Welcome to the Lovely Riot Comedy Festival. We are Skid Row adjacent." And I thought that like Skid Row was just like a general term for, where for unhoused encampment type places were, but they meant literally that area was literally Skid Row, like across the street, it was Skid Row. So it was really interesting, like learning about the history of the area and the people and what kind of stuff went on around there. So, and seeing it over the years, I would go there between 2012 and 2017 and seeing how it, more stuff opening every year, more like, yeah, it is super sad because, it's so much like, mental illness, and, I'm all for it. We need to like take care of people. So it's sad. And that's not something I walked around and took pictures of because I didn't want to be like a tourist like that. I don't think that just photographing random, people who are having a hard time is really a good way to go about photography. But yeah, downtown LA, doing all those comedy festivals were really interesting. That's what I've got. This is one of the books. This is where the festival was. I'm not sure that this building might not even be there anymore still. This is this famous, I didn't know it was a famous place at the time called The Smell. Like, this club is called The Smell. And I heard that God, what's his name? I'm blanking on names. Tyler, the guy, he's like a punk kind of garage band, or is it Ty? I don't know. God, I can't remember names right now. Anyways, would always go to shows at this club because it was like an underage club. But I love these pictures in this book. This is at The Smell. Just like, brick walls and a stage and a curtain and folding chairs. This is one of my favorite shots in that too. I love this picture, Eddie Pepitone. So just the whole like vibe. Oh, this is a wide photo. I forgot. That's the whole thing. But yeah, it was a lot of fun doing these shows and kind of getting the whole vibe of the area and stuff. But check and see if there's any other ones I'm going to share in here. 5-star bar. Yeah. Yeah, these are all downtown things. This is what is this theater called? Ace Hotel. It's a big theater. So they like moved up to doing some of these larger theaters after a couple of years. It was a lot of fun shooting in these, like David Cross, to like a packed theater. That was a lot of fun to shoot for sure. And but I want to come out as I travel more. I want to do photo walks with people and stuff when I go to different areas. I haven't been going many places lately, but trying to see what other ones I had here to share. This is one of the wildest shows. Bridget Everett at the Regent. Just like absolutely wild. It was so funny. Anyways, yeah, the old theaters are super cool. That's a good point. The photo walk in downtown LA for some street photography. I love all those. I don't know what to call them. They have all these shops and like stalls. It's like wholesale. There's like a lot of wholesale districts down there where there's like clothing, like party supplies, like all kinds of like wild stuff there. Like a whole row of like pot paraphernalia, like retailers in like one block, just all next to each other. It'd be really interesting to do some photos of that kind of stuff for sure. So I'm going to kind of go back a little bit to, I want to touch on some of the everyday stuff because, yeah, the fashion district. Okay. Nice. Would you say, I'm Spanish. Cayones? Is that how you'd say that? Tell me if that's. But that's the kind of stuff. So much of the photography that I want to talk about and do is this like daily practice. And I think there's so much, especially if you love photography, And even if you're able to get out once a week or so to do like a photo walk or something, like what do you do in between then? I try to get out and take pictures on a regular basis. Thanks for the likes. And I found that integrating a photography practice into like my daily life, taking my camera with me, having my phone, you know, charged and ready to go. So if I see an interesting photo, I can take it wherever I'm at. And I've personally, so okay, let me jump back. So like a big change for me happened in March 2020, as most people, pandemic, quarantine, couldn't go anywhere. So I always had in my mind like photography has to, um, well, I came from a photojournalist background. And so I was always thinking in terms of like news type of documentary, type of photo stories. And so everything had to be these like impactful, I was looking for big stories that I could find. But the point is I wasn't doing a lot of my own personal work because like I had client work, I had family, I didn't have time to like go create these whole big photo stories. And so what was happening is I wasn't taking pictures on a regular basis. And then when the quarantine started, I was like, well, I can't. Actually, my first instinct was like, okay, news. This is big news. Like, maybe I can go to like a local hospital and document, like doctors and nurses working on the front line with patients, or how people are being affected, and this and this and that. And I had all these like, photojournalist training stuff kind of kicking in, and I'm like, I can't do that. I have 5 kids. I'm married, and we didn't know much about COVID at the time, and it's like I can't risk getting my kids sick, getting my family sick. I don't know what we didn't even know like how it worked. Like how long does it last on surfaces? When I go to the grocery store, do I have to wipe all my like food down before I bring it in the house? Like I was like coming home and going straight into the laundry room and like shedding all my clothes into the washing machine and taking a shower like the second I walked in the door. And I'm like, I'm not going to risk, uh, you know, bringing some kind of illness into my household, because I want to do something that, has, an impact. So what I did was like, I'm like, I'm just going to start taking pictures of what's going on around here. I even tried to do like portraits of my neighbors and stuff, and they just were shit. It just sucked. I thought about this series like, oh, I'm going to show social distancing by like taking photos from the sidewalk of them at the front of their house, either in the front door or on the front porch. And I was like, I'm going to try it. And I did like 10 of them, and I'm like, these all suck. They were not good. And so I was like, all right, whatever. Fuck it. I'm just taking pictures of what's going on around here. And so I had to really like stretch myself to see, at first, to see like things more. And then I stopped thinking about it. Like stopped thinking about, is this going to be good? Is this going to have an impact? Like who cares? Like who's going to care? Who wants to see this? And I just stopped thinking about all that, and I just started taking pictures. And I was taking pictures all the time. And I was like, I love these photos. I mean, there were photos of my kids, there were photos of like the light in my yard hitting like a plant in a certain way that made for like a really beautiful image, and that just really captured a sense of like place and time. And so that really changed me from thinking about my own photography and doing it as this like photojournalistic way, for like a news sort of way, to more of like just an experience of like life and what it's like. And I started to connect more with like all of a sudden I started to understand what like William Eggleston was all about and all of his images, and connect with a lot of that a lot more. And so I thought, that's a lot of what my work has turned into, is really just observing the world around me. And you look at someone like Eggleston, who is based in Memphis, and widely regarded as one of the great photographers. And he was taking pictures of his daily life around Memphis. He wasn't going to New York and wandering the streets there. He was documenting like his hometown and the areas around it and the places he was traveling to and the things that he was doing. So, one of my favorite photos of his is like a drink on an airplane. looks like a Manhattan or something, a cocktail, and just beautiful composition, light, color, and yeah. And so I started to connect a lot more with that myself and the images that I'm getting. And I do photo walks on a somewhat regular basis, and I get images that I like. But a lot of the images that I like are just coming from, going about the course of my, daily life. Like, I'm going to try to find some I haven't shown, because I'm been fortunate enough to have some people stick on here for a while. I really appreciate that. I'm looking for like a daily life kind of photo. These are photo walk photos. Um, well, like, I really love this image. I took this in Michigan. And my family and I went up to, thanks for the likes. We went up to northern Michigan. This is on Lake Huron. And, we were just checking out this town that was near the state park we were staying at. And walking around, I'm like, oh man, this light and color and the shadows. I love the color of the picnic table. Just had this real, retro look, both color and the style of it. Thanks, Chauncey. Yeah, I was really John. Before I saw this, I kept noticing this is like a harbor, like a small like marina, and I kept noticing all these corners. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to take pictures of these corners. When I walk up to corners, I'll take a picture of the corner. And then after doing like 5 or 6 corners in different spots, we were getting ready to go, and I took it, and so I had that kind of like angles in my mind already, these corners, and then I saw this table, and I was like, oh man, that's a cool shot. And so this was just there. It was just there, and I saw it, and I connected with it right away. And it was just in the course of taking a trip with my family. Same here. I have three photos in here from this trip. And the cover of my next zine, Mystery Zine 4, is in my shop right now. The cover of it are waves at sunrise on Lake Huron, same trip. So we heard there was a lighthouse nearby. So we're like, let's go check out this lighthouse. I took my cameras up there, and, being up in the thing, I'm like, I want to show the perspective of what it feels like being in here. So I wanted to show the interior and exterior at the same time. I loved the Fresnel lens of the light. And so I wanted that. And so this is one picture, if you can't tell from seeing it on the screen. And I shot at like a really high aperture, like, I don't know, f/16 or something, maybe 22. And I wanted to have this whole, as much as I could get in focus from the foreground to the background. So again, just going through doing stuff with my family. One evening out with the fire, there was nice light coming through the flames and stuff outside. And I had gone inside the kitchen to get like a drink or something. And I'm like, I took a more squared up version first, where I was shooting it. The window frame was squared, and you just caught the edges of the frame, like the kind of scallop scroll work here through the bottom. And then I was like, you know what? If I move over, I can see the fire better, and I can get all this stuff in the kitchen in there. And I just really liked this, like creating a sense of place and time and what it feels like to actually be there. And I end up, thanks. I saw somebody on one of your comments call you Miss Mother, and I really like that. I think it has a nice sound to it. You'll have to let me know. I try to call people by their like screen names unless I know their real name and I know that they're okay with sharing it. But yeah, I just love I loved when they said Miss Mother. I'm like, that's perfect. I love this picture and just the inside out. And this is kind of some of the stuff that I talk about in the course is these practices, because what I don't like is talking about something technically, like this is exactly how you do this. Like there's so much stuff on TikTok that's like trendy photography. Like here's a photography trend. If you I saw one about where people have been like breaking their filters and shooting through broken filters, or they're like, I don't know. I've seen this guy do all these effects. You're like shooting through a slinky. You're like doing like this kind of thing and that kind of thing. And I'm like, it's how there were these trends On Instagram, I don't see them as much anymore, but it was like all the time, like colored smoke and things like that. And I don't know. I hesitate to get in this kind of stuff 'cause I don't want to knock people for trying things. I don't want to. I'm all for experimentation. I've done things where I'm like, I'm going to try to shoot a picture in the style of Bruce Gilman just to see what happens. I'm all for experimentation, but I don't want to influence. I don't want to influence people in a way to be like, your picture is going to look like my picture is going to look like the next person's picture. I'm going to be like, here's some general like practices, things you can do. Oh, thanks. That's nice. Um, yeah, scratching up the lens for a trend. I can't imagine that either. Um, represents motherhood. I think so too. Yeah, my wife and my kids in the picture, and just like a quiet moment. I'm happy to leave like a legacy of pictures like this. Like, if my pictures don't end up in museums, then so be it. But my family will have all of these pictures throughout the generations, and that's a nice thing to be able to do. And so when I talk about having the course, it's more about like certain things that I consider. So it would be easy to be inside looking outside and be like, oh, I got to get outside and take that picture because the light is nice. Well, no, have you thought about taking a picture of the outside from the inside? Have you thought about like using, I mean, a window as a frame isn't revolutionary, but sometimes it's good to have the reminder. But have you thought about how the inside relates to the outside and how you can tell two stories in one photo? So instead of just having this moment, which is a great moment, you can add something else to it. You can layer another moment on top of the moment. So it's like, I want to help people think about some of this stuff, like bigger picture. Mothball asking about photo books for inspiration. I am just learning a lot about photo books. I don't have a collection. I have a couple odds and ends books here and there, and none of them are even from one photographer. I have some that are definitely on my list to get now that I'm learning about photo books. I love Stephen Shore's Uncommon Places. It's a beautiful book. Check out your library. Just go to your local library and see what photo books they have and take home a bunch of them. Like, once someone pointed out to me, I don't know why I'd never thought about getting photo books from the library. Someone was like, I just got these from my library. I'm like, yeah, duh. Oh, sure. So I went on the computer to my library's website and I typed in some of my favorite photographers. I put in Gary Winogrand. Here's a Gary Winogrand book. I put in Robert Frank, The Americans is like a seminal book. So they had that. So I got that too. I just looked photo book. I'm like, oh, Stephen Shore. I know who Stephen Shore is. I'm going to get this book. And seeing his work in print really changed my perspective on what his work was all about, because there's so much more detail in the prints than you can ever see online. It's definitely work that's meant to be looked at in print. But looking at more just kind of like daily life moments, I like this series that I ended this one on, which is it was like in September when they were like, oh, you can see Jupiter. So we went out to see Jupiter. My daughter had this little telescope, and the light was really like warm, and it was really dark out. And thanks. I took these two photos during that time. The top one of her kind of exploring the sky, and just it really feels like the vibe of what it felt like to be there. And then the bottom photo of the house, that's a house we walked past to get to an open space. And I just liked the bottom, the warm light in the bottom windows, that kind of mysterious blue. I don't know how many of you live in the suburbs. If you live in the suburbs, you probably noticed it's very common now for kids to have LED lights lining the ceilings of their rooms. So it's pretty common to be driving down the street and they're like, oh, there's a room that's lit up in red, and there's one that's in green, and there's a blue room, and there's a purple room. But I liked that kind of, the kind of mystery of the blue room and the shadow. It's hard to see the detail on the camera, but there's a tree here, and what's on the house is you're seeing the shadow. There's a spot, floodlight hitting that tree and casting the shadow. I love the texture that was thrown over that. And I've been studying so many photographers now. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I see that image and I'm like, this feels like Todd Hido in a way. Um, Maybe a little bit warmer and less kind of I don't know, his images have kind of like a uh, I wish I could think of a better word. Almost like this, like it's not. I don't want to say creepy. It's almost like a little bit tense, a little bit unsettled. More like a David Lynch. He's kind of got this David Lynch thing going, where it's like this looks like a normal scene, but I feel like there could be something happening underneath the surface that I don't really know, like what's going on here. So I think Todd Hido's work has a little bit more of that. Whereas I think to me this feels more of like, like homey, warm, kind of like uh, what it feels like to be out in the suburbs and everything. But so I'm bringing it back to the course every so often because that is my main focus right now. I'm very excited about this course. It's in pre-sale now through December 31st. It goes live on January 1st, 15 days. Hey, good night, Mother Boomer. I'm honored that you stopped by. Thank you so much. Go check out her account. Amazing storytelling. Good Trouble. We're bringing in like celebrity after celebrity on here. I know Good Trouble's favorite photographer is Alex Webb. You're gonna maybe be mad at me when you hear this, but Alex Webb was in my city a couple months ago giving a talk, and I did not go. I couldn't go. I wanted to go. Alex and Rebecca were giving a presentation here, and I'm really disappointed I couldn't make it, but I didn't. And then two, they were doing this thing where Rebecca Norris Webb uh, and Alex Webb are both photographers. They are married. She is from Indiana, where I live, and she did this project where she went. Her father was like a country doctor, and she came back over a period of maybe like a couple years, I think, about 5-6 years ago, retracing the routes he would have taken doing house calls, because he would do house calls, deliver babies, and all that kind of stuff. And the pictures are really neat. They have this cool vibe. But they were doing this show where they would project the pictures on a building downtown. And I don't know, I kept trying to get down there, but it never happened. And now I missed it. But so it goes. Moving on with my life. Um, so yeah, I interrupted myself talking about the course to go off on that tangent. But it's a 15-day course. It's $37 during the pre-sale. It goes up to $47 after that. So it'll be available afterwards. Whenever you sign up is when it starts. But the benefit of the pre-sale is not just the money off, but it's also I will be doing the course with the people who sign up during the pre-sale starting on January 1st. And the course is like, it's exercises, prompts, motivation, inspiration, things to help develop a daily practice, because the best way to get better at photography is to take more photos. So getting in the habit of taking photos on a regular basis, even if it's just one picture, even if you're just taking your phone out because you're up drinking coffee in the morning and the light coming in the window is nice. Take a picture. Like you're out at lunch, sitting at a cafe. Take a picture. Who cares? Nobody pays any attention to anybody taking pictures on their phones. Nobody cares about what you're doing. You don't have to be self-conscious. People aren't going to pay attention. I take my camera out in like restaurants and places all the time. Nobody pays attention to me. I will tell you, one time somebody was paying attention to me recently. It's because I went on a photo walk in the downtown area of my suburb, and there was like nobody outside, and I was walking down the street with my camera, and so all the people sitting in the shops, because they didn't have any customers, were watching me walk by. But whatever, who cares? So the point is, though, is developing a daily practice, taking as many getting used to taking pictures on a regular basis, because I mean, that's how you get better. And that's how you learn. So the exercises are designed to be like, thinking about things in a different way. Like a couple minutes ago, I was talking about, how, doing photos that incorporate both your interior space and the exterior space. And I don't think that's something like a lot of people necessarily think about. But if you start to think in those terms, then those types of things just start to happen. You start to take those pictures where, you're using different techniques because you've, practiced them, and then they're like a part of your brain, and you don't have to actively think when you go out to shoot. I use a few different cameras. When I am talking about my daily practice, this is kind of like my everyday camera. It's a Fujifilm X-T20. It's a 23 millimeter lens, which this is a crop sensor camera. So it crops the lens is effectively a 35 millimeter. So f2. So basically a 35 millimeter lens on, this mirrorless camera. And it's a great, the stuff I do client work with is Canon gear. I've got a couple 5D Mark IIIs and a few different lenses, but I like being inconspicuous when I go out just doing my everyday stuff. And with a smaller camera like this, people don't pay attention to me. So that's nice. I can kind of like I said, I can take pictures in restaurants and stuff. Whereas if I walked in with all my Canon gear, people are like, what are you doing? But so this is great for like an everyday practice. And the course I specifically made that it doesn't matter what your gear is. You can do, it doesn't matter what your gear is. You can do digital, you can do film, you can do a point and shoot, you can use your phone. Like whether you're brand new to photography and wanting to do it more, or if you are very experienced or even a professional and you're just feeling kind of like stagnant in your own work, like that's what I made the course for. So because it's not technical, it's about practicing and inspiration and finding the daily things. I have not used the XE4 personally. I know someone who has, I think they have the XE3 that they really love a lot. Teague Shoop, if you follow him, he's a cool guy. Good. He's a new photographer. He's been doing it for about a year. He's really good for, I mean, definitely for only having been doing it a year. And even for people, even if he'd been doing it for like 5 or 10 years, it's good stuff. I know he just got an XC3 and he really seems to love it a lot. I've liked every Fuji camera I've used. I've used their X100. I've used their X Pro 3. I've used their XT3. They're all good stuff. Always happy with any of them. Personally, for the way that I shoot, I like the SLR style as opposed to the rangefinder, where the viewfinder's off to the side. I don't like to shoot like this with this is my personal preference. I like to like completely block out my vision except for what I'm seeing through the lens. That's how I do it. So I prefer like this style as opposed to the rangefinder looking through. But obviously, whatever works for anybody is always good. So the course is just really any kind of camera would work. And there's a members only forum I'm setting up through Discord where excuse me, where we can share photos, talk about it, the exercise for the day. I can answer questions about it or whatever. And I will be in there a lot because I'll be doing the course too. So it'll be a way. I mean, the best time to do the course is to sign up now to get in there, to be on there for January 1st, because I'll be like I'll be out shooting every day, doing the exercises and, looking at your work. And even if you don't feel comfortable sharing your work, you can still come on and talk and see what other people are doing and ask questions. But also it's really the forum component is important to me. Yeah. Oh, thanks so much. I appreciate that. That's good. I like to introduce people. A lot of times the photographers that I'm presenting, like I'm just learning about too. So I really enjoy looking for new photographers and sharing them with everybody. But yeah, so now uh I lost my train of thought again. Um I was talking about with the course. Oh, the forum. So if you've ever been involved with a photography forum, chat room, or like, I don't know, I can't even remember some of them, the ones that I used to do back in like 2004, 5, 6, photo.net or something. Um, there's a lot of negativity, there's a lot of gatekeeping, there's a lot of criticism in those. And want to have a space that is, that's something that I want to really be free of. I wanted the Discord and the chat area to really be about like, you know, inspiring each other, motivating each other, talking everybody up, like just making it a positive experience. I'm not crazy about like critiques because I think that requires like a certain relationship. It's like a mentor mentee relationship. Like you need to come to somebody who you know personally, or you know their work and their reputation, and you want to like get some feedback. But I think that, thanks for the likes. I think like, you know, who cares what like, you know, Randy from Poughkeepsie like thinks about your picture? Nobody wants to hear that. The Canon R Series Facebook group. Oh my god, I can't even imagine. That makes me like clench. I'm sure it is really rough. 'Cause everybody's so insecure. Like you have to have this position. Flip when I find that. Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, definitely. And the best way to connect a lot of times is through Instagram. So send me a note on Instagram and then we can connect there. And then yeah, for sure. I'd love to do something sometime. I'd love to go out and shoot with other photographers. I've only photographed with one other photographer. There's a okay. I got to wrap up here soon. There's a guy, Comrade Cinque. I think you say Cinque. He uh, has a really interesting TikTok account, and he's based here in Indy. And I connected with him, and we went on a photo walk last year, and it was a lot of fun. So I'd like to do some more of that kind of stuff. And For sure, I've been trying to schedule some where I send it out to the broader community, and but it's been hard to schedule those kinds of things. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, send me a message. I'd love to connect. Um, Doing live photo walks has been a lot of fun. I try to get out at least once a week and do those things. So I do need to wrap here today. I'm seeing I've been on almost for 2 hours. No one posts their photos, just pictures of boxes that lenses and cameras come in. Mike Dunn, what's my favorite photo spot in Indiana? It's the one that I'm in. Mike, wherever I'm at in Indiana is my favorite photo spot. Um, okay, I'll give you a more of a real answer than that. I've only been up photographing there once, but at Indiana Dunes, like, is awesome. I haven't been. I was only in the state park section of the dunes. Oh, Sydney, that's awesome. That's another thing. Uh, that's so cool. I love connecting with people from other countries, and it's a lot of fun. I need to make a video. I was going to talk about. I have 3 different countries represented now in my course. I have people from the U.S., obviously, where I'm at, Canada, and the U.K. So I'm very excited to be connecting with people from all over the world, and that's something when I was first putting this course together, I didn't really think about as an added benefit because um, there's nothing physical that I'm shipping. Anyone can do the course anywhere in the world because it's email based. If you can use PayPal or whatever through the shop, like anyone can do it. I'm not like trying to pressure you into getting the course, but doing this with people all over the world, I think is going to be fun. I'm going to make a post about it here probably tomorrow. The dunes. So the dunes, there's the national park and the state park, and I doing like a street photography style at the beach is really fun. I'm not pretending like I invented that. Martin Parr did like a whole thing. Bruce Gilden did a whole thing. Like all these people have done that. But to photograph at the dunes is a blast. Just walking down the beach and taking photos of the scenes. In Indy, I'm in the Indy area, and it's just anywhere around downtown Indy, I find nice photos. There's some cool state parks like McCormick's Creek and Bloomington. Have you been to Bloomington, Indiana? That's where I went to college, Indiana University. It's awesome. I don't know how long it took me to get to that Bloomington for sure. It's got a great vibe. The campus is beautiful. The town is cool. It's real, like, chill, college kind of town, really liberal, lots of like great, places to eat and grab drinks and like interesting people, a lot of like artists and creatives. And there's always like people walking around doing something weird. So it's a lot of fun. So Bloomington for sure. Definitely. If you like architecture, Columbus, Indiana is good. There's a lot of like huge name architects who have built like Eero Saarinen, and I'm blanking on other ones right now because that's how it works. Yeah, John Mellencamp. Yeah, I've been to Seymour. He's from Seymour. It's really interesting. Favorite art movement. That might be above my head. I'm not that much of an expert. If you're talking about general art, I mean, I like my favorite. Yeah, that might be above. I like the idea. I was just reading about kind of this like idea of like humanist photography, where it's a lot of the like Magnum photographers traditionally, the early ones kind of fell into that. Humanist is more like, I don't know if this would be considered an art movement, but I like how it's more about, it's documentary in a sense, but it's also focused on finding like universal experiences in photography. So it can be street photography, it can be documentary photography. Oh, that's good. Thanks, Mike. It's like, it's going to be so fun. I came up with a new exercise the other day and I'm like, oh, I love this one. It's a great idea. And I'm not giving it away. I'm only going to say it through the course. But there's a couple where I'm like, I'm really excited about it. If you want to see humanists, would be like, look up Helen Levitt, Levitt, Helen Levitt. I think some people would consider Cartier-Bresson a humanist photographer. And some of them, someone like Bruce Gilden or Martin Parr would not be a humanist because they're kind of showing like almost the worst of the human condition. But, Cartier-Bresson for sure, and Helen Levitt are the two that come to mind. Sabine Weiss, Weiss, Sabine, Sabine. Her stuff is really cool. So I'd count her in that also. But yeah, all right. Well, I got to hop off. I'm trying to do a live every day. I'm hoping to get a photo walk in before Christmas happens. And yeah, check out the course. I'm like seriously excited for it. I'm making it for all of you, for all of the people who have said like I love feeling inspired by what I see. Like this is a way to then get like direct inspiration. You don't have to wait for one of my videos to pop up in your FYP. Like email into your inbox every day for 15 days. You can get on my newsletter too. That's a weekly newsletter where I send out information and, new things I have to offer, free downloads. There's a free download. I can't get into there's a free download right now. If you go to my links, there's an information page about the course, Find Your Focus. And there's a thing called Jumpstart Your Photography, which it says right there. It's a free download. It has a couple prompts that are like leading into the course. They won't be repeated in the course, but like, check it out. Yeah, I'll probably talk about how some people relate to some of the practices. Like, if I'm talking about certain ways that people use reflections, like I'll mention like Pinkasoff or Lee Friedlander. I'll definitely, it's going to tie in some of that. This is a paid course. I'm not going to put anyone else's content in the thing, but I'll put links and be like, you can see this video about Lee Friedlander connects to this this prompt that we're doing, or this is a practice that Pinkasoft uses, and here's a video I made about Pinkasoft. And thanks for the kind words. Yeah, sure thing. Like I was telling people earlier, I'm happy to look at people's work. Connect with me through Instagram. That's the easiest way for me to get messages and send and receive messages. And no, this is my very first photo course, so I'm excited about it. I feel like this uh, is the educational component of things, and I don't think of it as like I'm not teaching like technical skills. I'm teaching like I'm looking to be more like motivational, inspirational, like giving tips and exercises and techniques. A lot of things that I use in my practice to help me see photos and find photos. And when I'm feeling stuck, I'm like, all right, I can't think of anything. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this exercise, or I'm going to just look for this one thing or whatever. Oh, thanks, Mike. That's very kind of you to say. I hadn't thought about really I was influenced. I had a college professor who was a National Geographic photographer, and he was, an influence on me. And I never really thought about teaching, but lately I've been noticing how many people have taught in some capacity. Gary Winogrand was a professor. Stephen Shore has been teaching for 40 years. Martin Parr has been teaching for a long time. A lot of those people have done it or do it. So I'm like, all right, that's pretty good company to keep. So, all right, it's 11:37 where I'm at. I got to wrap up. I've been on for over 2 hours. I really love these. I'll be back on tomorrow at some point. Yeah. So thanks so much. Always great connecting. Always great talking with everybody. So this whole live, if you want some information, I'm also recording it on YouTube. It's going to be up on YouTube. So if you forget something that I talked about, you can always jump back on there and check it out. So thanks so much. Everybody have a great night. And I look forward to talking to you all again soon. All right. Thanks, YouTube. I might do it again on YouTube. So after I end, this will eventually end up on my page. So thanks, everybody. Have a great night.